My own equipment tends to take the back burner until I've got nothing else better to do, and that was the case this past week. I got on my Junk Video Corporation BR605 that's been a big headache because, well, it works, except for it doesn't rewind. And I've been through this. I can't figure out why it won't rewind. Mechanically, everything looks good. It has plenty of torque when there's no tape in it, but put a tape in it and the thing fails. So, with no tape in, it's got plenty of torque, as we'll see. I'm going to put it into fast forward. And look, I can stall the motor out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the idler. It's not slipping. It's got loads and loads of torque. Yet put a tape in it, and, well, the wheels fall off. Now, I've already spent plenty of time. I was working on this thing for probably an hour before I even bothered to turn the camera on. That's why it's already apart. Because I was fiddle-farting around with this thing trying to get it to work. And it's just miserably failing. We're going to do a little bit of lubrication on this thing today and see if that will speed things up, make it work. But I'm not holding my breath because this thing's had many hours. It was actually given to me because, well, another guy that spent 10 hours on it couldn't figure it out. So he just, here, take it. You can have it. So it's rewinding with no tape in it. Now, bearings are noisy, but it is rewinding. But if I put a tape in this thing, it won't move. I'll remove the black tape that I had on so that the unit would think there was a tape in. If I put a tape in, this is what happens. We'll go to fast forward. Same with rewind. And yet, when there's no tape installed, it has plenty of torque. That's a weird one. It's got to be something mechanical. When the tape is installed, it's either dragging or something on here. Something's wrong. I'm going to pull the cassette basket out on this. And take a look at it. Take a look at the spindles. Something's not right with these spindles somewhere in here. There's a couple of screws that come out, and this basket assembly, I think, just lifts out if I remove these two screws. Now, as I say, this was given to me a while ago. Several techs have worked on this unit, and they've all given up on it. I gave up on it initially. We're going to try again and see if I can figure out why this thing is not rewinding. But nothing is obvious. Nothing is sticking out like a sore thumb. That idler tire in the middle there, that's new. I put some grease on these the hubs. As you can see, there's an optical sensor on these, so if they're not spinning properly, it will shut down. I'm just gonna put some grease on these just to see whether that's going to. Maybe they're sticking a bit when the weight of the tape is on the spindles. So I'll just put a little bit of grease. Lithium grease. do the same on the other one as well. For this one, I'll have to take out the back tension band. Should be able to just unclip it like that and lift out this one. Well, I thought I could. This one here appears to be held in a little better than the other one. I should be able to get it out of here. I have to lift out this. I guess I have to lift out this brake. And try not to break the brake, lifting the brake out. Bad pun, I know. There. Okay. Lift that one out of the way. And then this will lift off. Lube up this dry bearing down here. This one seems to be pretty dry. Should be able to operate this machine with the cassette basket out, just for testing and observing what goes on here. Put this back around, the back tension brake. These machines are considered by many to be high-end machines, but really this chassis was a throwback to the original, one of the original JVCs. A lot of mechanical problems with these ones, and like that. Not easy to work on. So you don't want to touch that screw because that is sealed and that sets the back tension. So I don't want to touch that if I don't have to. What I'll do is I'll wind down the cassette basket, and I'm just going to put something in here to insulate so it doesn't touch anything, and let it hold up the little circuit board here. So that's in the loaded position. Now I got to put some black tape over the end sensors here. So let's cover that sensor up. The other one's actually over here as part of the cassette housing, so I'll just throw some tape over it as well, over here on this side. And I can put it through with the motions and see what the machine does. Alright, now it thinks there's a tape in here. Let's just see what happens when I hit rewind. I'll have to spin this spool just so that it knows the tape's moving. I guess I didn't spin it fast enough. There it goes. Plenty of torque. So that's running. And I say there's plenty of torque on here. Stop. I go to fast forward now. There's plenty of torque on this side too. Like if I stop this, it'll actually stop the motor. It'll actually slow the motor down. So the idler's not worn on this machine. Go to play. And the back tension works. Because if I now it becomes stiff to turn. I'll reinstall that cassette basket and see whether we've made any progress. I mean, I don't understand why it's not working, because when there's no tape in it, I've got plenty of torque. There's nothing wrong with the idler. In fact, I can stall at the motor by stopping the tape spool from turning. Maybe it was just it's going to go into rewind now because it thinks the tape's at the end. And if I pull the tape off the other one, it'll advance the tape. Okay, I'll put the cassette loader back in and just see whether I've made any improvements to this. It'd be nice to be able to get this deck working. In case you guys don't know, this is mine, and it's been sitting here for a long time. Been one that I've just been putting on the back burner. Now this machine is a 91 vintage if you look at the date code on the motor. This chassis, however, goes back a little further than that, 86, maybe 87 on some of the consumer machines. By 91, most of the consumer machines had become much lighter than this, and this was used on the industrial machines. Other than this, the machine actually works. I haven't tried it on record, but it does play. Just open this up. I don't know how well it plays, but it does play Super VHS tape, or regular VHS tapes. I don't know if it plays Super VHS, and I don't know if it records either. Make sure that this is locked in, which it is. And I'll throw the 2 screws in to hold the basket in place, the cassette loader. And then we'll try this again and see whether anything's improved. Try fast forward and see if it moves. You see? Oh, hey, it's going. This is a short tape, so let's see if it'll rewind now. No. So what gives? Is it just this tape it doesn't like? This short oddball tape? I'll try a different tape. I can't see it just being the tape. But here's another tape. Will it rewind? Will it rewind? See, same problem. And yet, when I cover up the end sensors, it's got more than enough torque. If I put it into rewind, plenty, look. If I stop this from turning, it'll stop the motor. So it's like I don't know why this thing is just not working with a tape in it. Because it's a JVC, Junk Video Corporation. Everything that JVC made with, as far as video goes, was a piece of shit as far as I'm concerned. I have a JVC camera I have 2 JVC cameras that are absolute crap. And they weren't cheap cameras either. They were, $8,000 to $10,000 cameras. I mean, the tape is a half load, so it pulls the tape out over the audio control head. Unless it's sticking to that. I mean, it looks clean. I'll try cleaning it, but it's weird. Because there's plenty of torque. There's no reason why that thing won't rewind. I think first things first, I'm going to clean the head with some water. Clean the head with water first. And the reason I'm doing that is in case a tape went through that had something sticky on it, like juice, that won't dissolve in alcohol. So I'll wipe down what the tape touches on here with water first, and then I'll clean it with alcohol. Because I have seen that happen in the past. A tape went through that was sticky. And we cleaned the machine and cleaned the machine. We couldn't figure out why is this tape still sticking inside the machine. And it was because alcohol won't do anything for sugar. Okay, so I've wiped the head down with both water and alcohol. Do I need to actually let it dry? Probably not. After all, I'm not threading the tape up. I'm just going to try fast forward and rewind. So fast forward. That's looking okay. Rewind. Holy crap. Well, it started to go. I think we're on the right track here. There's got to be an awful lot of tension on that tape. I'm just going to actually open up the guide here, take out the shield, and see how much tension's on the tape. Obviously the tape is sticking. Let's just see how much torque is on here when I put it in rewind. There's a lot of torque on here. There's a lot of torque on that tape. I'm just going to try something. I'm going to remove the tape off of the half load arm here. I mean, the unit has lots of torque when there's no tape in it, but it just seems to be laboring. And then it stops. And then starts up again. I just want to watch the position of the brakes when I go to the different modes. Let's try play. Okay, that brake lifts away on play, as does this one. But when I go to fast forward and rewind, this brake doesn't move. That stays there. Same as on rewind. I wonder if it's the brakes are dragging. That's weird. Like the mechanism's all been lubricated on this thing on the bottom side. So there's nothing sticking. Mode switch was cleaned on it. Because I mean, I went over this thing a couple of years ago and just kind of put it aside because I was having this issue with it. And now it appears to work. It's still kind of, I haven't taken the tape off of here either, so it won't stop when it gets to the end. I have to stop it manually, but I mean, it's still slowing down though. It shouldn't be doing this, I don't think. I keep thinking maybe it's the brake pad, but the brake pad's working. I'm back to that same situation. Like I can put it into rewind and it'll rewind fine, and as I say, there's plenty of torque. It's not like it's slipping. I mean, if I stop this, I'll stop the motor. Pretty much. Here. I can stop the motor from turning, right? It's not a problem with the motor. It's not a problem with the idler. But go to fast forward, same situation, right? I got plenty of torque. I can actually stop the motor from turning. You can see the tire buckling when I do that. It's not a problem with torque. Yet, for whatever reason, when the tape is in place, it does not want to work. This has been something that's been driving me absolutely crazy for the past couple of years. Every time I pull this thing out of the box or off the floor, sitting in the corner, every time I grab this unit and put it up, it's exactly the same. I mean, the cassette looks like the mechanism looks like it's loading properly, but you see, it just won't move. It just does that. If I go into play, it threads up, and it plays it at the wrong speed because this machine only supports SP. This tape's recorded in EP. I go to fast forward. No problem. Go into rewind. And it just won't move. It's really, really weird. And that's why I've been putting this thing aside and grabbing it when I've got some spare time. I've got a few dogs. This one's been barking for like, I don't know, 2 years. I've got another one that's been barking a lot longer than that. A Panasonic piece of shit. And people say, oh, these industrial machines are so much more durable. Well, they have so many different quirks. I mean, yeah, they're all metal, but that means nothing because, as you can see, this one here has just been a real handful. And it's not rewinding for no rhyme or reason. If I load that mechanism without the tape in it, everything works. As soon as you put a tape in it, it doesn't work. This may be a clue. Watch what happens when I start the rewind. It looks like it's going a bit slack. So there may not be quite enough tension, is what it might be. It might be that brake pad is worn down, and maybe that's why it's expecting more tension. And what's happening is this starts to become loose. It puts obviously back tension on the tape while it's in rewind because you need to maintain tape tension so that the tape control track can be read for the time readout. So it might be this little pad down here that I was looking at before. It might be that is actually worn. That might be why it's not working. That's always a possibility, that it's expecting more tension, more back tension than it's got. I was thinking along the lines of maybe it's got too much tension, but maybe it has too little back tension on rewind, and that's why it's stopping like that. It's a real weird one anyway. And not having any manuals for this machine, I don't know what the torque specs and everything are supposed to be, but it could be that that back tension is supposed to be a little bit higher. Well, I'm done with this one. Wasted way too much time on this piece of crap. I mean, just no rhyme or reason why it will not work when the cassette is in there. It's not like it's dragging. When it goes into play, it plays. Oh, the mask is on here. I mean, it plays. It's got lots of dropouts. Look at all the dropouts this thing pulls up. And that's probably another issue. Picture search works both ways. I go into full search. I saw that tape spilling in there on search. What was going on there? Just will not rewind. I tell you, this machine's become so frustrating. I even forget to sometimes start the camera up. I'm talking away to what I think I'm talking to the camera, and well, it's not recording anything. I'm done with this one. I'm pulling my hair out, trying to figure out why this one doesn't work. Because it's got plenty of torque. All the brakes seem to be working properly. It's got plenty of torque when there's no tape in it. When there's a tape in it, it fast forwards, it plays. It just does not want to rewind. I guess it could be the idler is still, it's worn, but it is a new idler that was put on there. It could still be the idler tire causing issues. I don't think a motor problem. It could be one of the optical sensors on the reel tables too is acting up. Although you would think if that was the case, it would do it when you're running it without a cassette in. And it runs, and it's got lots of torque. As you saw, you can stall the motor out. So I don't think it's an idler issue. But it certainly has issues, that's for sure. And that's why the unit was scrapped to begin with and donated to me. So we'll get back on this at some point, but not for today. I've wasted too much time. I've wasted 3 hours of time that I could have been doing something else on this piece of junk, and I'm no further ahead than I started. Well, the only good thing about this is it goes together very easy. If any of you have any ideas as to why this thing's doing what it's doing, I'm open to suggestions. We'll get back on this at some future date, I'm sure. Thanks for watching.